Yeah. Okay, cool.
Hello everyone and welcome back to What a Week. I'm Terry Martin and we're here again and I'm so happy that you've come to join us once again. And my two co-hosts, introduce yourself guys.
Mr. C comedian, pick up everybody.
Tony Crossbody, not comedian.
I thought this
funny geezer skill.
Yeah, you don't want to steal your limelight, Mr. C.
No.
Hey, listen, man. We all have it, man. It's something that every single person has, is a sense of humor. Come on.
It's true. It's very true.
But not everybody can go on the stage. That's the thing.
Well, yes, that's a very true thing. That's a very true thing.
So respect to you.
Many have tried and left the stage never to return.
That's it. Well, do you know, it's a different setup this week because we're going to have a guest and everybody.
Bonus guest.
Come in on the comments when you see who our guest is, if you've got any questions or whatsoever. We really want you guys to interact with us this episode. We want to hear from you. So please use the comments. And I want to introduce to everybody Dawn Butler, the MP. So,
come on.
Hello, how are you this week?
Hey guys, how are you? I can't hear Terry, by the way.
Oh no, that's not fair. Hopefully,
the rest of you.
Hopefully that'll sort itself out. Mr. C, do you want to ask Dawn how she was? You can't hear me.
Listen, Dawn, man. What can I say? Dawn is one of my champions, you know. Dawn is one of my heroes, man. Yeah, man. Dawn represents our borough and she represents it in such a beautiful way. Started off with the young people, now with diversity, champion things for women. So good when I look at Parliament and I see a woman there, come on, of colour, with locks, come on. Oh, man. Love you, Dawn, man.
And you too, Mr. C, you do amazing things in Brent, so let's not forget that. Do you know what I mean?
No,
you are amazing in Brent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm humbled, man.
We just want to say hello to Priscilla, who said hello to all of us.
You guys might have to come back to me with the sound, I think.
Yeah. What we'll do is we'll let our sound engineer and
I'm having difficulty hearing Terry.
Yeah, hopefully he'll sort that out. If you need to take Dawn out for a second, let's take her out and bring her back because she has to hear me, isn't it, guys?
No, she has to. Yeah, absolutely.
But let's say hello to Priscilla, Mr. C, and Tony.
Hello.
Okay, big up yourself, Priscilla. How are you?
No, big up yourself, Priscilla. Nice to see you or hear you or read your words. Yep.
First of all, let's get straight into it. I want to know what new tips did you guys learn through getting through this week of lockdown? Obviously, we're going to have 3 more weeks, guys. 3 more weeks of lockdown before it gets reassessed again. Is there anything this week, Mr. C and Tony, that you have learned to do that has helped you get through the week?
Right. Well, I've started a yoga challenge. And I have to admit, man, I thought to myself, let me just do a few little Listen, this man had me stretching in ways I didn't even know so it was physically possible. Yeah, I will never, ever, ever have the gall or the cheek to ask a woman to bend up herself in a different kind of position again, master. Listen. When I finished that yoga session, I was humbled. But
I'm actually crying.
But the thing is, what I've learned was that I've had a little neck problem for a while. Mm-hmm. And some of the stretches, after the first session, the neck problem had gone. So wow. It's a 21-day challenge. So I've been doing yoga every single day at 1:30. So it's been absolutely amazing. So for me, it's a free session. I'm going to send you guys the details for it later on. But man, oh man, I look forward to it now. That's the one thing I look forward to in the day. My yoga session at 1:30. Is
it online on YouTube?
It's online. It's online. It's on Zoom. Yeah.
On Zoom, so it's like a live meetup on Zoom.
Yeah.
Man,
from all over the world. 800 people, roughly.
Wow. And do you have to put your video on? Do people actually have to see you?
No. Nobody is seeing my back up in the air at all. No. I switched my video off.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anybody to see. I look like I'm a disabled person trying to play Twister. That's what I look like. It's not good. It's not pretty.
It's not easy at all. It's not easy. So I commend you. And when did that 21-day challenge start? When did that start?
It started on Wednesday. Thursday started on.
Time to catch up. If you join in from Monday, it will be a good time to join in.
Definitely. So he does an hour like beginners, and then after the hour, he does an advanced session as well. So you can join in that if you want to. Like I try what I'm doing now for the advanced, I try and do an extra 5 minutes every day.
Oh, go you! Look at you. And Tony, please share with us any tips.
I've been on Zoom, but I've been raving on Zoom.
Okay.
So last night.
See you last night, Master.
Yes, I saw you. I saw you as well. You know. I was gonna send you a message telling you I see him. I said, "Now leave the man." Yeah. We were at the same rave. We were at the same rave, but this rave.
No. I wasn't there. You know, I was just watching you. You're a big woman in that dance. You know?
Yeah. It was. There was. I think it was about.
Put it on you, Tony. Was it your party?
No. It was
DJ Sharky.
Sharky DJ was playing. Shoe Doctor, D Small from the Volunteers,
That's right.
But it was a well attended event with a few technical hitches, but Sharky DJ really tore it up, man. He took that night. It was a great night. I was quite surprised. I didn't think Zoom house parties could work.
Yeah.
If the music is good and the sound quality is good and you've got your drink, yeah, it's a great night. So I didn't get to bed till about 4 o'clock this morning on that one.
Wow.
So that was good.
And
that was a good one.
How did you hear about that? Through Instagram, or how do people
you can receive that through WhatsApp links. If you know the right people, they'll send it on to you, and then
you're connected. Yeah.
Well, no, not really. I'm lucky. I beg. I do a lot of begging. And you know what? Tell you that thing last night. There were so many people wanted to get on. You had to wait for 5 minutes.
There was a waiting room
before you could actually join the party. That's how many people were on.
Wow.
And there was 650 something people. And at the end, there was like 170 people left, and they didn't want to finish.
Yeah.
So last man watching.
Yeah, it was literally the last.
There was a guy there. There was a guy there like this. He was like he was like this.
He dropped asleep. There was a guy. He actually was asleep.
Another lady was like this.
Oh.
In front of the camera, we were killing ourselves with laughter. But your house, you could fall asleep. So it was good though. I really enjoyed it. So that might be that would be the future, I think.
So it carried on until 4 o'clock, yeah?
Till 4 o'clock, yeah.
So
and they didn't want it to stop.
Stopping.
Yeah, man. But by the time it finished, I was on my pillow like this. Tuning in.
And the thing, Terry...
Now, can you hear me, Dawn?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Oh, good.
Excellent.
The funny thing, Terry... The funny thing about it, Terry, was oh god, I just lost my track of thought now. Oh man, there was a couple of the women who were dressed to the nines.
Yes.
Proper dressed up.
Yes. Just to fill in Dawn. Just to fill in Dawn, we're talking about the house parties that are happening on Zoom now. Where you're in your room and everybody's in their room, and then music is playing, and we're all having a good time on our own. So yeah, I saw quite a few women dressed up, I had my onesie on, and then I saw a couple of people laughing, so I quickly went and took it off and
you got the
on a
pressure.
t-shirt. Yeah, I bought a t-shirt.
I didn't want to mention that, Tony. Tony.
It wasn't a good look. I was like, I'm in my house, I can dress how I want, and I had the onesie, and I even had the hood on, and it just like, no, all right.
Wow.
I saw people go.
Oh dear. Yeah, go on. I was just the through the last week, if there's anything they've done or learned that's helped them get through the last week. I'll introduce my one, and then that gives you time, Dawn, to share. My new thing in my house is to make sure that I don't spend more than 45 minutes in one room. So when I'm in the kitchen, the garden, my bedroom, whatsoever, I flip it up every 45 minutes. I'm changing location in my house. And I found that done so much for my mind. Like, even though I'm not traveling anywhere, it gives me a sort of difference. Do you see what I mean? And that's really helped me get through the week this week.
Wow.
Hold on. So do you like take out your Oyster card as well to kind of like, you know, fancy it up, bring out your passport to go to the bathroom? I don't know.
Yeah, as I go to the door, I must tap in and tap out of each Honestly, that sense of change could be very easy just to sit in front of the TV and think, oh, I'm just going to watch TV all day or lie in bed all day. And I just don't feel like that does much for me personally. So I've just found that monitoring that and really looking out at the time and thinking, right, I'm here now. I have to be out of this room by a certain time has really helped me. And I feel like it's just given me change and it's given my mind something to think about and do as well. Do you see what I mean? To get the hours to go by.
That's a fantastic idea.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, unfortunately, I'm working every day, and it's a bit crazy because we're all working. So I'm now in front of the screen more than I normally am every day. And I realized the other day that I'm spending about 8 hours in front of a screen, which is just driving me mad and doing my head in. So I'm not quite sure it would work for me, but I think that's a good idea. I don't know what I've been doing to get me through. I think I've been going out and walking the streets of Brent, just saying hello to people, not telling them to get back inside, but just saying hello. Are you okay? You know, is there anything you need? So I think that's kind of been getting me through, just making sure that, you know, the community is good. So instead of walking around the park, I now walk around the streets instead.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? And it's, even when I'm out doing my little hour exercise or whatever, and I see somebody, I feel really happy to see people now, even from a distance. I'm like, hi.
I know. It's funny, isn't it? You can't interact. You can't, you know, look at them too. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how we're going to come out of this, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting.
I've noticed that I was just going to say, I noticed that my local park a couple of weeks ago, they taped up the benches, obviously to stop people from sitting down and relaxing. But going there today, I noticed that all the tapes have been removed. So it would seem as if, unless it's a vandal doing it, but I noticed that all the benches were, it would seem that there's a little bit maybe of a relaxation of the guidelines going on. And there were a lot more people in the park I noticed today than usual. So, you know.
Well, the reality is people are gonna say, look, I can't stay home for much longer. So the reality is people are going to leave their homes. I just think it's a case of, if you leave your home or there's someone vulnerable at home, that, you know, you have to know that it isn't the flu. It is something that's quite serious, and it does affect different people differently. So if you're taking that risk knowingly, then, you know, I think it's going to happen.
I think, seeing as we have you here, Dawn, and I want everybody to know who's ever watching that you can message us in the comments if you've got any questions for Dawn. Please put them in, and we'll definitely try and fire as many questions at Dawn as possible. But let's get straight into talking about the fact that the lockdown has been extended for 3 weeks. I mean, what's the reality, Dawn, on this situation? Because some of us, like me, for example, I feel like they just keep saying 3 weeks, because if they said 2 months from the start, if they said something like 2 months, everybody would have just went crazy. I feel like they give it to us in 3 week blocks to help mentals. But how likely is it that after these next 3 weeks, we will be set free? What's the likelihood?
Okay, so do you want the good news or the bad news?
Bad news first, please.
Okay, so the bad news is, to be honest, that the reality is that being in lockdown is just buying us time, but it isn't a solution to anything. So the reality is, in order for lockdown to work, we need to be socially distancing ourselves for a lot longer than 3 weeks. That is the stark reality of it. which nobody's talking about. So, you know, for this to work, you need a lot longer than 3 weeks, because there isn't a vaccine for it yet. And so all we're doing is buying ourselves time. So as soon as everybody starts mingling, as soon as when you see somebody in the park and you start hugging them because, you know, you ain't seen people for such a long time, and you start spreading the virus, then lots of people are going to start getting sick again, and the hospitals are going to get overwhelmed again. And then, you know, you have to have a serious lockdown. So the reality is it's going to take a long time. And so 3 weeks at a time, the government doesn't really, some of the people in the government, I think they don't really understand. And and yes, in a way it is trying to create people cope with it, but it will take a lot longer if we're really going to tackle this, I'm afraid.
Yeah. And what's the good news?
What's the good news?
The good news is, although you're going to be locked in your house, you know, for a year, the good news is, you know, at least you're alive and you're well and you can change rooms. Some people are stuck in one room, but they can't even go to the next room. Some people haven't got enough food to eat. They're hungry. And some people have got family in the hospital who are dying and they can't go and visit them. And there's funerals that they can't go and visit. So the good news is we are able to stay in our homes. That's the upside. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. C, was you going to say something?
No, you know what I said. I totally agree with you there. You know, from once you've got the ability to move within inside your own home. You know, you got to give thanks. And if your immediate near and dearest and not haven't been affected by this, then you have to give thanks for that alone. Because some of my friends have lost loved ones to COVID-19, and oh man, it's horrible. You know, it's absolutely horrible hearing some of the stories, and again, even some of the videos what we've received as well, seeing other people going through the torment of what this thing is doing. So I think every day that you get up, you know, your loved ones are fine, whether they're with you or whether you can speak to them on the phone or WhatsApp video. You know, give thanks, man. Sun shining outside, give thanks. Give thanks.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much positives to look at. As somebody's written here, testing, that was going to be my next question. When will the public be able to go and get tested for the COVID, and what will that equate to? Because if you do get tested and you had it or you got it, what happens next? Because a lot of this is stay at home. Surely we can't just keep staying at home. What happens after being tested when these tests roll out? That's what we want to ask, Dawn.
So that's the biggest thing, right? It's exactly what should be happening. We should have done this from day one. There should have been a lot of testing and then tracing and then treating. So you should be able to test people, and then if they're positive, you should be able to find who they've been in contact with. That's the tracing part of it. And then you should be able to treat people and retest. And that's the only way we can get on top of this. And the government has been way behind the curve on this. You know, we were apparently ahead of the curve back in January because we had a few testing kits. And instead of them going into mass production of producing more and more testing kits, I don't know what they were doing. So people should be quite outraged by the fact there isn't enough testing going on. But until we get the testing, until it's in the system, then even people coming out of their houses is going to cause problems, because you need to be tested because you don't know who's got it and who hasn't got it. So the government keeps saying that they're going to test 1,000 people every week. They're not even close. 100,000 people every week. They're not even close to that. So nobody really knows when the testing is going to happen. All the companies in the country that could do the testing were not commissioned by the government to do the testing or to make the kits. Some started doing it for other parts of Europe and not in the UK. So this government has been completely incompetent and negligent. And I know, like, we're not supposed to be saying that, and we're supposed to be all kind of, but actually I'm a bit sick and tired of the government's incompetence. That's why I haven't really done any media. I've been quite quiet, because this is the kind of things that I say.
And how would that go against you? If you used to say exactly what you said just now in the media, what do you think would happen? Well, what would happen? What's the reality of you telling your truth on it?
Well, I've been kind of doing it online. I've been kind of tweeting my thoughts online, because the slow pace of this government just isn't good enough. And the first thing the government should be doing is caring for, you know, our citizens. And when you're seeing people on the front line not being tested, you know, the doctors and nurses are not being tested. and they need to be tested even if they're asymptomatic because they're treating everybody else. And it's like, how can we not test people? And it's not just one test. You will have to continually test people. So you have to have tests in mass production, otherwise it doesn't work. And so the fact that the government isn't investing in all of that is a real problem and a real issue. So but I'm often known to, as Mr. C will probably tell you, tell it as it is and put the cat amongst the pigeons. So I've been I have been raising it on Twitter, and a number of people have as well. And if you listen to the experts, if you listen to what's happening around the globe, if you see what happens in Singapore, my nephew lives in Singapore. They had a massive operation of testing, containment, treating, and that's why they were able to maintain the number of people who died, and that's why they were able to keep the economy going, because they did all this up front rather than relying on this herd immunity, which is basically what happens when you get the flu. When you get the flu, some people get vaccinated, but the rest of us, you go out, you catch the flu, and then you might have been out of action for a few days, and that's it, and you build up your own immune to it. But you can't do this with COVID. COVID is a lot more dangerous than the flu. And so that's why that kind of herd immunity was the wrong strategy from the very beginning.
Yeah, because I'm not sure. I don't think there's any. I'm not sure, but I haven't read up that there's anything to say also that if you've had it once, you won't have it again. So I'm not sure how it's going to go ahead. But also, the vaccine that could come out of this, I've read up, and that a vaccine could take up to 18 months to get made. So does that mean we're going to be socially distancing until a vaccine comes out? Because whether we get tested or not, we're going to vaccine to be sure we're clear of it after. So the social distancing basically is going to carry on until next year.
Yeah, the reality is social distancing will carry on for at least 12 months. It has to, because the vaccine will be developed quicker than it normally is, because they're fast progressing certain aspects that normally would take months. So something that would take 4 months to maybe test, and then they'll do little testing, will now be done in 4 weeks. So things will be quicker. The scientists and the people that are dealing with it will develop it a lot quicker. But social distancing will essentially become a way of life for at least 12 months, probably 18 months, because it will take a long time, even if there is a vaccine, for people to be vaccinated. There'll be people that won't want to take the vaccine as well. And there's lots of testing that will be done. And as you just said, if you build up your own, so if you get COVID and you build up your own immunity to it, it's not necessarily long lasting. It may last 6 months, may last a year. Nobody really knows yet, because it's all very new. So there needs to be more that needs to happen in that regard.
Yeah. And
just a quick point on that. Sorry, Dawn. The vaccine, is that going to be required for preventative measures, or if you actually have caught COVID?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But it will probably be. I would imagine preventative and to build up your immune system. So what they're hoping is that the vaccine will have a stronger immunity to COVID than if you caught COVID and your body created its own immunity to it. So what they're hoping is that the vaccine will create a stronger and more long-lasting immunity to it.
Right. So my point, and this is what's going on in my head, is that if it's preventative, then the likelihood it's going to be made mandatory at some point for everyone.
I don't know, and I would.
I know you couldn't. I know that's just the next step, because if it was curative, then people who tested positive for COVID then would have it, because obviously they're not well. But if it's preventative, then the likelihood that next step is that, well, everybody would have to have it, obviously, because we don't want to be spreading the virus. But just my personal thought on that.
And personally, would you take it then, Tony, if it's preventative? Are you going to take the vaccine?
Well, Dawn's here, so I'm going to say yes.
No, don't say, honestly. Don't say yes to me.
I don't want Dawn to go to the government and say, that guy said he's not going to have it. Get him.
No.
I'm telling you no. Whether Dawn is here or not, it could be Boris himself. Me not take it. You know, give it to me, me not take it. Not having it. No way.
Why is that, Mr. C? I just want to know.
Because number one, first thing I'm saying, usually antiviruses, they take a while for them to. They go through serious trials, and then they go through human testing. When you hear them saying that they're fast tracking something, you know something is going to come out. I'm not going to be the first guinea pig for them. No, sir. You know, we've seen these problems before, like with things like thalidomide, various other vaccinations which have gone wrong. And even like I remember in Norfolk Park Hospital, they did some trials on some drug what they was doing, and people were losing like fingers and their feet and everything as well. So it's not no joke when you're talking about a new vaccination. You're talking about it's being rushed. That there are some serious, you know, again, the human testing part of it as well is one of the things which a lot of people take for granted, that there are going to be some people who are going to lose their lives, or they're going to have some real adverse health situations because they're going to be the first guinea pigs to test this thing out. And you don't know, you might not see it in your lifetime, but it may affect your children, may affect the way how you have children. And yeah, we really have to take these things seriously. It's not no joke business at all. So I'm not taking it. Me and my children, I don't business what their mum says, they're not taking it.
Yeah,
I don't even take the flu vaccination because it's nonsense to me as well.
Yeah, that's the back of you saying that. I can see there's a comment here from Angels that says, is there any figures that show how many people affected by this virus have taken the flu vaccine? Is there any connection there, Dawn? Do you know if there's any connection there with, you know, people who have taken the flu vaccine and still getting the virus? Are they two completely different things?
They're two completely different things. They're two completely different vaccines. And I doubt that's something that they would have investigated at the moment, because all the focus needs to be on combating COVID-19. And don't forget, this is a pandemic, so it's all around the globe. So I don't know, but they are two completely different. I mean, the flu, if one person gets the flu, on average, they can infect another person, like 1.3 people. But if somebody gets COVID-19, they can infect another 3 people. So that's how different it is in terms of the infection rate. So it's a viral virus, and it is very serious and highly contagious.
Let's talk about.
The other thing, Terry, as well, is that there's enough people who get the flu jab and they still get the flu. So, definitely people who've got the flu jab have definitely got COVID. So we'll catch it because, as I said, people get the flu jab and still catch the flu. So, yeah.
Dawn, look, I'm ready.
But you can die. You can die. You remember, you can. The dying. People are going to think you're doing something else, Tony.
You do that too well, innit? You do it too well, innit?
It is the corrupt mind of an MP.
We're definitely going to hit on as much as we can while Dawn's here with us. Dawn, let's talk about the fact that social distancing will continue on, but when should we be let out of our homes to have somewhat of a normal life, maybe wearing masks? I feel like masks will become something that's compulsory for getting back to work and everything that people are not able to. And let's talk about the people who are maybe going through some sort of domestic violence and mental health. When do you think this should be lifted in order to help those people who are, under different circumstances, suffering beyond COVID?
Well, domestic violence, those people need to get out now. And I've ensured that there are provisions in Brent for anyone that's suffering domestic violence, that they will get help. So nobody who's suffering domestic violence should stay in a violent home. They should call one of the services that's available. They can call 999. If they feel they're unable to speak, they should wait till somebody on the other end says something, and then they should press 55, and that will alert the controller to know that they need to send help to that address. So if anyone's suffering domestic violence, they should not suffer in silence. They should make sure that they seek help. There's no excuse or reason, and in fact, there should be more money invested, because mainly women, some men suffer domestic violence, but mainly women, 2 women every week are killed by a partner or former partner. That's every week. Now, due to this lockdown, it's been anticipated that will result in 5 women every week being killed. And globally, it's a lot more than that, as you can imagine. And in all countries where there's been lockdown, which is everywhere, there's been an increase in domestic violence and child abuse. So it is really serious. And in Brent, last week, we had a woman that was murdered by her former partner. So this is extremely serious. And so there's no reason for anyone who's suffering domestic violence to stay in the home. They need to get out of the home as soon as possible. Mental health, that is going to, we've all got mental health. It shouldn't be a stigma. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You go from room to room to room, that helps your mental health, a change of scenery. At the end of this, lots more people are going to have various mental health problems. Of course, you've been told to wash your hands for, 20 seconds every time. That's OCD. Lots of people are now going to have mental health problems. So there needs to be lots more investment in mental health services. But as I say, I think the reality also is that people will want to get out of their homes, and they will come out of their homes. The only thing I say is that you have to understand the consequences of that. If you understand the consequences of that, it's for people who come out and say they don't believe that COVID is real. And, I heard one conspiracy theory that people in hospitals are actors, and they're not, there's not really people dying and stuff. And that's a really dangerous kind of conspiracy theory. As long as you understand the implications, you might get it and you might just be out for 7 days. You might just have a fever and you might recover. Other people are not recovering. That is the reality of the situation.
So in conclusion, do you have any tips and advice to help people through these next 3 weeks? Like, if you could give 3 major tips, what would the 3 major tips be to the public?
I think you need to talk to people, just talk to people, even if you FaceTime a friend or, have conversations with people. Don't stay don't just because you're alone in your home, it doesn't mean that you have to be alone. So, make sure you communicate with people, have conversations with people, talk about random things, try and find something else to do, challenge yourself, try and find something else to do. And exercise is really good. I'm saying this, not that I'm following my own advice, I might add, but exercise is really good. It releases endorphins. So, if you can do some kind of exercise,
Mr. C's doing yoga. Sorry, he's doing a 21-day yoga challenge. So I was just saying, yoga could also be a good thing.
Namaste, Mr. C. Namaste.
Tony and Mr. C, is there any final things you want to say to Dawn before we thank her for her input?
Listen, Dawn, man, just keep up the good work that you're doing. I know that also in Brent, that there's food parcel deliveries for the vulnerable and the elderly. So I met a lady, I spoke to a lady this week called Susan. So I'm going to try and assist people in my area, which is Kendall Green. So I'm going to take some of the deliveries and deliver them to the vulnerable people in my area. So that's one of the things what I'm going to do as well. So I think that all of us need to check up on the vulnerable people in our area and find out what we can do for them. And hopefully we'll become a tighter and better community after this thing, and during this thing and after this thing.
Yeah, that has, thank you, Mr. C. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, we have to make sure, and I understand the conspiracy theories, because when the government's not telling you the whole story, you fill in the gaps. And I totally understand that, because it's frustration. It's frustrating for me trying to get information from the government. So I can understand people filling in the gaps of their own kind of theories of what's happening. But ultimately, I do hope at the end of this that we do become a stronger society, because that's the only way that we are kind of going to move forward in a progressive way in society. If we look out for each other, you can't rely on the government, definitely not this government. You can't rely on the government to look out for us, and we have to look out for each other. And we have to be strong as a community, and unity is strength. And, you know, and there's a lot to be had by being connected to your community.
Yes. And we can definitely do something to input with our community. I'm sure there's from the smallest to even just calling somebody or checking in on a neighbour, I think is even a great thing to do. You can knock the door, stand back a few yards and just say, just wanted to check everything's okay. You know, there's a lot we can do. But thank you, Dawn. I don't know if you're going to stay on with us for the rest of the show or...
Hold on, Terry. Are you advocating that people now go out and play knockdown ginger?
Not you don't.
That's giving people exercise, isn't it? Because they got to go and see who's at the door. It gets them out of the room. It's helpful.
Dawn, I suggest you get a mental health check after this show.
After the show. Dawn, stay with us. Are you going to stay with us?
Yeah, I'll save you for a little while.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dawn, for answering them questions. I see there's a few others here. Somebody's asking you, Dawn, actually, where will you visit once the lockdown is over? That's from Anne-Marie. I don't know if she means visit as in going on holiday or visit as in work-wise. What other areas are you going to go to? So,
I think holidays are going to be out of the question for a little while I was traveling. I'm telling you, 18 months. 18 months is got to be your target to knowing that things will change to after 18 months. Where will I go? I'm going to go and visit some mates and have some belly laughs and fun and, you know, because that is sorely missed.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I wanted to move on to talking about, obviously we're all on lockdown now and online shopping is the thing to do because if you want most things now, you have to go online. I read this week, in the news this week that Amazon are earning, let me see, this was $11,000 a second on their services and products. That's how much money Amazon are making. Now, I wanted to see what you guys' opinion is on online shopping. Is it safe, though, to online shop? And what hacks and advice are out there to shop safely online? Because obviously a lot of products that we see on Amazon, I know come from China. And are made back there, and a lot of them are shipped from there. So I can imagine there's some apprehension with some people about shopping online, but how else are we going to get our products? So I wanted to ask if you guys are shopping online and what you do. Like, for example, I know somebody who, when they get their shopping in, their food shopping, they wipe everything down. Like, everything gets wiped down with some spray. They're cleaning it all up. Is there any hacks, tips, and advice, or anything that you've heard about that you can share with the viewers about shopping online safely?
Well, the one what you've just said, that's exactly what I do when I do my shopping. I take everything out of the bag, I wipe everything down, put them in the cupboard. I think failing that, you have to look at the condition of the delivery man when he bring the stuff to your house. I mean, look strong, then you're not saying that good, because he's been carrying it in his van for a while. But anyhow, him sneeze, I look runny. No, I don't want that one. Take that one back, master.
In saying that, somebody said that with cardboard and whatever packaging, you could leave your package outside for the day and then take it in the next day because apparently, you know, the virus only lasts so many hours. So that was a tip that somebody said about leaving your package to one side for at least a day before bringing it into your house.
That person must live on Bishop's Avenue, so they can leave package. You leave package outside your yard for a whole day, and you feel so that you can go outside and still get it. That's where I live, man. If the postman don't push it through the letterbox goodies, it's gone.
What about you, Tony? Do you shop online? Are there any precautions you're taking whilst you're shopping?
Not really. I mean, I've been shopping online for years, and I've had maybe a handful of incidents where I've not received the goods, and I was able to claim the money back through my bank. So, I mean, there are some safeguards that are there for those who choose to do online shopping. And now, obviously, you're going to have very little choice because, you know, more people now are ordering food online, and food deliveries are going up. Unless you want to go and stand outside of Tesco's at a 2-meter distance for an hour to get your stuff. That's going to be the future. I'm sure a lot of those companies are making profits.
Yeah.
I just want to pick up on what Joseph is saying, that they don't like shopping online. because they like to actually, you know, feel and touch what they're buying. I'm like that with food. I don't like doing my food shopping online because I want to see the condition of the food before I, you know what I mean, before I buy it. So like things like banana, I don't like any fruit that's bruised. So I'm very, very fussy with food. So I would still go out and buy my food. I'll never do my food shopping online.
Oh, okay.
I think she also says, the same person says that she's 5'9", female, and nothing ever fits. Yes. So that's why she doesn't like to
that would be good.
Purchase online.
5'9". Oh, all right.
This is not a date. This is not a date, Mr. C.
Dawn, any advice, tips, and hacks on buying online, whether it be food, clothes, products for your home?
Yeah, so food, I don't. I mean, I shop locally, so I don't shop online. But clothes shopping, I'm kind of was addicted to because I don't get a chance to get shopping, so I shop online, clothes shopping. But yeah, apparently the virus lives for a couple of days on certain services. So I kind of, well, I've stopped shopping now. But in the beginning, when we were locked down, I would order some clothes, and then I would leave them for a couple of days, and I'd open them as a bit of a surprise. So, you know, to him, oh, look what I ordered. And that's how I got through.
Yeah, I understand that. And Marie said, most delivery drivers knock the door now and run back to their vehicle. Very
true, Anne-Marie.
True.
At the front of my house doing some exercise, and my postman came and he recognises me. So he said, "Oh, you're from that house?" I said, "Yeah." He got out of his van, he got the package from the back, and then he literally dropped it on the pavement near him, got back in his van and drove off.
Wow.
He wasn't playing, but I don't blame him. Why should he put his life at risk for me to get my package of whatever I've got, you know? So I guess delivery drivers, that's what they have to do now. And something else, which is now is the time to invest in Black businesses. Who consciously now will go online and search out the Black businesses and shop? I mean,
I just want to add one word to that though. Yeah. Search out the good Black businesses online. Good.
Any recommendations, Mr. C? A good. Let's talk about hair products first. I'd like to talk about hair products because as a Black woman with locks, hair products are very important. And I know a few guys even have been complaining, not even been able to get a little do-rag to cover up their hair because they can't get a haircut. They can't find any, and then when they're looking online, it's like £10 for a do-rag. When we could have gone to our local supply before, I got it for like £2. So has anybody got any recommendations for good Black businesses where we could get hair, whatever, food, supplies online? Please share it with us now if you've got any at all. Mr. C, I'm coming to you first.
Okay, well, I don't know what the online the web address is, but I know one of my friends is starting up a fruit and veg business for local deliveries. So that's one thing. There's loads of decent hair products for Black people, by Black people online. Again, I mean, obviously Lusters is a massive company. But I'm sure that there's a lot of local based. I mean, you're asking the wrong person about hair products. So I don't truly know idea. Old-fashioned way for me is Vaseline with some baby oil and everything, and I'm good with that.
Low maintenance.
Yeah. But I think you just got to go back to. I mean, YouTube is a great place to go for advice and tips as regards to how you can now create things at home, natural things for your hair. I know a couple of my friends, some of my female friends, they create their own hair products. So I think this is a perfect time for you to learn something new about your hair and to be self-sufficient.
Yeah, substitute. What about you, Dawn? As a woman, what are you investing in online, and where are you getting it from? And are any of them businesses Black businesses?
So I suppose, I mean, I don't use a lot of hair products. I've got lots too, so I don't use a lot of hair products. But I was trying to look for, my sister orders a West Indian box, Caribbean box of food and fruit that gets delivered, I think, every 2 weeks. And it's been really good. Like, she's got yam, plantain, lime, Scotch bonnet pepper. I can't remember the name of it though. I was just trying to look for it. Yeah. But so she orders from there, and that's really proved quite useful. And I think that's it. But I think, yeah, people are discovering, you know, ways of making face masks and all kinds of things, which I think's been quite interesting to see people doing all stuff like that.
That's very true. And I think my one, the black business that I would like to talk about, we bring it up so I can say her name correctly. She actually does masks, and she does masks that match a head wrap. So, you know, you can get like your African print. You can get it on a mask now, and it matches the head wrap. And her Instagram name is LNB_boutique. I'll put it somewhere. Hopefully, I can put it somewhere. But her boutique, you can get notebooks covered in African print, but you can also get your clothes made by her. But yeah, she's got matching face masks and head ties. So that's something I've invested in, and I've ordered it. So hopefully by next episode, it'll be here so I can show and share with everybody how that looks. I just think that'd be cool, and it's a good idea, and you can be fashionable during this time, which is important.
Sounds good.
Two other ones have just come up here. Afro Pop in Peckham from Pacification, and Hyacinth has also said there's something called Windrush Bay. So we just need to know what kind of products they provide for Afro Pop Peckham and Windrush Bay, please.
Yeah, maybe she's making reference to the food one.
Okay.
But let's see. Yeah, if you could write in, please, and let us know what Afro Pop and Windrush Bay do. That'd be great. And also, food makes us happy in this time. I think everybody has had complaints about eating too much during this time, but I don't think eating has to be a bad thing, does it? It doesn't have to be unhealthy. It doesn't have to be a struggle, even though there's some products that are out there that are really just not coming back to the shelf. It's a struggle to get rice in certain areas. I know that for sure.
Definitely.
So what substitutes quickly could you guys give to everybody? Because, for example, instead of using rice, I would say try quinoa. And a lot of people don't use quinoa, so that's always on the shelf in my shop, which is it's a seed. It's not got as many calories, and you can still put it as on your plate as the rice. So I want to share that with everyone. Food is important. So any food tips or hacks that you guys have?
Can I share my secrets?
Go for it, Tony.
Cake, biscuit, chocolate, anything sweet, custard. Yum, 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 yum. That's just gonna help you through the crisis. Don't worry about all this health stuff.
That's your advice, eat and be merry, yeah?
Yeah.
But how do you fit in your clothes when the crisis is over, though?
You don't come out your house. We're in social distancing, dude. We're in lockdown, so you don't have to come out. Or what you do is that you just buy some Lycra and then just,
squeeze into it.
Yeah, man, squeeze into it.
Tony, you're making this sound like a 1970s porn film, mate. No, I don't want to hear no more. I don't want to.
So, Windrush Bay was the food box that Dawn mentioned. That's what it's called.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Hyacinth.
Yes, thank you. That's really good to know. Mr. C and Dawn, any food hacks that you could share with everybody for either eating healthy or just getting through with what you've got in your cupboards?
Making bread is really easy. Everyone should just try and make bread. And you can put anything in bread, so whatever you've got. I made Scotch bonnet bread the other day, so whatever you've got, you just throw it into bread. I know. It's honestly, it's nice. It's nice. I put Scotch bonnet all in the bread. It's nice peppery bread. So whatever you want, But I think bread is an easy thing to make. Everyone should try and make bread. I made roti for the first time, so that was quite cool. I was quite impressed with myself with that. And once you've got flour, you can make anything. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You can make fritters, you can make all kinds of fritters. And I say my hack would be freeze whatever's going. So if you think something's going off, it's not going to last, cut it up, put it in the freezer and freeze it. Don't throw anything away. And you can make something with anything. So don't throw anything away. Yeah.
Good, man. Good. And the good thing about Scotch bonnet bread is that you don't even have to toast it because it's hot when it's cold, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. C.
Someone said flour is hard to find at the moment, which it is a bit. So is there a substitute for flour?
Well, you can if you've got oats, you can grind your oats and make oat flour.
Okay.
You can make oat flour. Yeah. I mean, flapjacks are easy to make as well. I made flapjacks the other day. Flapjacks are easy to make. Yeah, anything like that.
Yeah, I made pancakes this morning out of oats, and it was really nice. I blended in some what are them Oreo cookies into it as well. So it was like an Oreo cookie pancake made with oats. Went down really well. I made some not fritters. What are they called? Yeah, not fritters. What's the sweet one? Not dumpling, but the other one.
Festivals.
Oh, yeah. I made some festivals for the first time, even myself. That was quite easy to make as well. It's about finding the time now to experiment, isn't it, Tony?
Well, I'm gonna learn to bake a cake, chocolate cake, double chocolate cake, and then make biscuits.
The cake is your thing.
It's easy.
Yeah.
I tell you a hack actually. If you use a cup, like it's normally like 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of everything, and that will make you a good cake without having to measure everything. So it's just equal measures.
Yeah.
There you go. After the show. Right after the show.
But not 1 cup of sugar though, Tony. Not wrong.
Why?
Somebody's saying that they've discovered you can have scrambled eggs with gram flour.
Oh, this is interesting. Does anyone know what gram flour is?
How? No, I've heard that you can do scrambled eggs with, like with chickpeas, the water from the chickpeas, like if you get it in a tin, that water, you can use that for some kind of like, if you're making cakes or whatever, it's a vegan way of using like egg white or something or other from chickpeas. I've heard that, but scrambled eggs, I've never heard this before. From nothing.
This
from
is
flour,
it.
gram flour.
For learning. These are the hacks we need, I think, to get through. We've got to get creative, everybody. We really do.
Definitely get creative, because like even with my porridge now, what I do with my porridge is that I get like 2 bananas, I put it in the NutriBullet blender with a little bit of milk, and then I add the banana. So I make my own banana porridge, and I put goji berries, pine nuts, pumpkin seeds, cashews on it. So that's more filling as a porridge. So I probably eat less, but that porridge now is giving me everything. It's got my fruits and nuts and everything in there. So it's more of a meal than just like a porridge.
Yeah.
Combination.
Someone's asked, is this a baking show?
Yeah.
just a quick one. You know what's good as well? Fasting.
Fasting, yeah.
Yeah. In other people's business, or you're talking about not
both
eating food?
Fasting in people's business and fasting yourself.
Honestly, fasting could be a very good. What's the word I'm looking for? I've lost all my words today, but it's a good discipline, I think, and especially in times like this, it could be a good discipline. It doesn't have to be done for religious reasons. It can be a good discipline to just let your body be humbled a little bit during this time, and then when you do come to eat your little food, it will really sit well and most probably fill you up more because you fasted for some time. Have you ever fasted before, Mr. C?
Listen, I've been intermittent fasting, as they call it, probably for around about 2 years. So my first meal that I usually have is around about 3 or 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Sometimes so I'll just start with either water, fruits. And yeah, it works. It works fine for me. I get a lot more done because I don't feel sluggish.
Yeah.
I eat less now. I feel like I don't need to. That back in the days when I'd have to have the big plate of food, the mountain of food, and after I have had that food, I feel like itis kicking, and it's because I've overfilled my body, and now my body's having to shut down my body to digest that food. So it's giving me a lot more energy. I've got a lot more time now to do the things what I needed to do. So yeah, I've been doing that for a while.
I feel it's important we talk about this because it's all a part of our health. Some people eat for pleasure, but some people eat because your body just naturally needs certain ingredients to function, and it could help your immune system, can't it, Dawn? What do you think about eating certain products just to help your immune system as well? A lot of people don't think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, more we start learning about it, right? I mean, I try not to eat after 8. If ideally after 6. I try not to eat after 6, but normally it's like after 8. and then I probably won't eat again until 11 o'clock midday the next day. And so you kind of have that sort of fasting period, gives your body time to kind of just adjust and build up what it needs to build up. But yeah, we learn more about food, don't we? We know more about biotics and, you know, like good bacteria in our stomach and what we need to do to build all of that, and sourdough and all of those things, and the good yeast and everything like that. And as you learn more about that, it kind of makes sense.
Yes.
You know, especially with modern day living, right? So, you know, and having any processed food and all of those kind of things. And so, yeah, I try and abide with that, and not having alcohol. But, you know, some things, you know, don't work so well.
Yeah, not in this time.
Not too much alcohol, not too much. In these times, we need a little drink in times like these. You know? Times like these, you know, you need a little, you know. Yeah.
It can be as simple as what they were saying before, starting your day with warm water with lemon in it, you know. Apparently that helps the system and clears out bacteria, helps with your stomach. So it can be as small as that. It's not always about being really fancy. So it's good to do your research into foods and whatsoever. Somebody here, Rose, has said that the Voice newspaper has a magazine of list of Black businesses which has been published every year. So this can be found online, and it covers shops and businesses, and some are online as well. So that's another point. Everybody can go there and have a look.
And they're gonna need our support more than ever, because a lot of Black businesses are small businesses. A lot of them won't have access to all the grants. I'm trying to make sure that all the businesses in Brent have access to the grants to help keep them going. But they're going to need our support more than ever. The big businesses are getting lots of help from the government. The smaller businesses, not so much. And a lot of them, you know, are family-run businesses, generation to generation. And what we don't want to see is all of those businesses fold after, you know, after the crisis is over. So they will need our help.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Also, they've said that Afropop Peckham retails in all kinds of products, including skincare, food, fashion. She's in the process of, or he, I don't know, it could be a he, in the process of contacting them for precise contact information. So they'll get back to us. So hopefully maybe by next week we can talk more on that as well. But please, everybody, in conclusion, I think it'd be really nice if we did more research, because we've got more time into what we're spending our money on now, where we're going to invest our money into, and support those good companies that deserve our support in this time as much as we can. So I'd like to conclude on that.
And also, and Terry, I agree. And also remember the companies that essentially screwed over their staff, you know, during this time, who decided that they weren't going to support them. Make sure that we don't frequent those places, you know, the ones that just left people with nothing and say, you know, we're not going to support you, we're not going to pay you any wages. We need to remember those people, because they're only in existence because they get customs. So let's look after the businesses that have been looking after their staff.
Definitely.
Yeah, good point.
We've all got the time now to do that extra bit of research, I think. So it won't go amiss to do so. So Dawn, first of all, let's say thank you to Dawn. Clap up, Dawn.
Thank you, Dawn.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
For being on the show with us today. It's been nice to have a female counterpart against these two.
You hold your own though, girl. You hold your own.
Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll have you back on again at some point. Obviously we've got a few more weeks of this, and I think all the information you've given us today has been so invaluable, and I love the fact that we speak on your opinion and we're not getting, you know, them generic answers that most governmental bodies give us, which are very PC. So thank you for being so real and honest with us today, and hopefully we'll have you back again soon.
Definitely. I look forward to it. No worries. Take care, guys.
Bye.
It's a pleasure.
God bless.
And from Tony and Mr. C, it's always sad when we have to round up, because I really enjoy our time together, even more so because it's going to be another week until I get to see these lovely faces on my screen again.
Yes.
It's the highlight of my week, this, I must admit, you know.
It's the only thing I do.
At the top of my screen, it's like I'm watching Beauty and the Beast, you know.
You're too kind. You're too kind. Terry, don't take that from him, Terry.
Yeah. Guys, Beauty and I never see which one's the Beast.
Mr. Caesar, sorry, you. That's terrible. How can you talk about women like that? Terrible. Oh, no money.
Terrible.
Oh.
Anyway, moving on. Thank you guys for joining me again, my two co-hosts, Mr. C and Tony. Thank you everybody who's been watching. Thank you for your inputs today, because I'm definitely going to be writing down from the comments all that you guys have recommended. And I think today's conclusion will be to take time to research. I think research, invest in yourself, whether that be taking up a 21-day yoga challenge like Mr. C, or just eating some snacks and not feeling guilty like Tony. Do what makes you feel happy, but also do some research into where you're going to be spending your money, because obviously money now is quite tight for most people. We've got to be vigilant about where we're spending and why we're spending and what we're spending on. Just take that time out to do some research and try and support Black businesses as much as we can. And during this time, this is our time to come together and show people what we're about. So on that note, I hope everybody stays safe until next week. We'll be back again with What a Week. Thank you for watching. See you later.